My name is Camilla Bengtsson and I'm a certified instructor in dog parkour. I train parkour with all my 3 dogs as an extra activation in their everyday life. My personal experience is that dog parkour increases the dog's body control and self-confidence. On top of that, I get a fun activity together with the dogs that I can perform both indoors and outdoors, in the woods and in the city. The activity also increases my contact with the dog and our collaboration. What is dog parkour? Easily explained: jump on, jump over, balance on, get through and under various obstacles, and so on. The challenge is to define different obstacles in our environment. So, what's the benefit of practicing parkour with your dog? The training builds muscles and agility. You increase the dog's body control and self-confidence. Fun training creates collaboration and builds relationships. Your dog gets physical and mental stimulation in a simple way. Can also help dogs with problem behaviors, such as dog meetings, meaning you give your dog something else to focus on. So have fun on your dog walk. Don't let the leash be the only link between you and your dog. Always use a harness when training. From the dog's skull, several nerves go down around the neck. Further down, they are protected by muscles, but up behind the ears, they are superficial and completely unprotected. You can hold on to the harness to give the dog support on difficult obstacles, and grab onto if the dog loses its balance. Make sure you have a harness that doesn't interfere with the dog's movements. Reward-based training means that you give the dog praise and reward to increase the behaviors you want. For example, say, "Good boy," when the dog performs the desired behavior. Reward is the dog's salary after performing a behavior. The salary can be a toy, playtime, candy, food, cuddle, anything that the dog enjoys. If your dog doesn't want to take on a challenge, don't push. Take a step back and analyze the situation. Maybe the challenge is too difficult. The dog feels insecure. Maybe it misunderstood your command or your body signal. Maybe there is something in the environment that disturbs the dog, so it focuses on something other than what you are asking for. Is your reward motivating enough for the dog? Or maybe the dog is tired or feel pain. The 2 most important keys to successful training are communication and motivation. Remember that you are the dog's teacher, and it's your job to get the dog motivated to learn. It is also your responsibility to assess the dog's capacity and condition to complete a particular challenge. Here are some tools that are useful when training dog parkour. Hand signal. You show with your hand what you want the dog to do. Hand target. You teach the dog to touch your hand with its nose. You can develop this so that the dog also follows your hand. Make sure you have a varied reward, both sweets and food of different kinds, and toys if your dog likes to play with objects. Praise and reward often when learning, and when the dog perceives something as difficult, or if it seems insecure. You can also position the reward to help the dog. A difficult challenge can also be broken down into several steps. Good boy. 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 You can train parkour in two different ways. Impulse control is when your dog only takes on a challenge on your command. Lower risk of injury. Spontaneous is when your dog is allowed to search for obstacles and challenges independently in the environment. Greater risk of injury. If you want your dog to work spontaneously, it can be good to teach commands such as wait and stop, so that you can prevent the dog from spontaneously giving in to too difficult challenges, or that the dog stops on command when he has jumped up on something high and you want to get there and help the dog down. I train spontaneously. One of my dogs has figured out that she can go balancing on the curbs. Make sure to warm up your dog properly if the exercise is physically trying, at least 10 minutes. Also unwind the dog at least 10 minutes after physical activation. You can also give your dog massage after training. It can help soften stiff muscles and you get a nice and calming moment together. It is important to consider what type of surface your dog lands on if it is going to jump over or down from something. Avoid all landings on hard surfaces such as asphalt or concrete if the height of the obstacle is higher than the dog, especially in the beginning before the dog has good body control and muscles. Keep in mind that it can be slippery in rain, frost and snow. Large dogs and dogs with long sloping crosses and large dogs with short legs should be trained with great caution. These body types should not jump straight up steep obstacles, but need to take speed before with a few gallop jumps. Large dogs have a large load on the skeleton and joints, so it's important not to expose them to hard impacts. Train on obstacles near the ground that the dog can step onto and step down from. Dogs with short legs and long backs are at increased risk of developing disc herniation and should avoid high obstacles and not jump between obstacles with level differences. Small dogs can break their legs if they fall or jump down from high obstacles. Young and growing dogs should not be exposed to hard impacts as they have a soft skeleton and fragile joints. All dogs should not be exposed to hard impacts and exercises where the dog needs to crouch. Warming up and unwinding is extra important when training with old dogs. A large dog is considered old at 7 to 8 years of age and a small one at 11 years of age. Dog parkour is, however, a good way to activate a dog that doesn't have the strength to walk that far. Make sure the dog has short claws. Long claws impair the dog's balance, and there's an increased risk that it may get stuck and injure itself. Hold on to moving obstacles when the dog is going up and down, and until the dog has found its balance. If you reward with a toy, do it after the dog has finished the exercise, as well as if you use sweets when balancing. Place sweets along the way, or give sweets when the dog has finished walking, or if it stops on the obstacles before moving on. If you hold candy in front of the dog's nose when it's balancing, it can lose focus on where it puts its paws. It works excellent to train indoors, for example in bad and slippery weather. You can refine exercises and commands, train control of rear and front legs, balance on different furniture, crawl under different furniture, pause on different objects, back up on different objects, a small dog on a book, threshold, and a large dog on the stairs. Now I'll take you through all the exercises I have chosen to include in this course. We start by putting paws on or against various objects, such as trees, lampposts, electrical cabinets, fences, and glow sticks. Select easy objects at the beginning. The objects can be solid, slippery, movable, thick, or narrow. A challenge for all types of dogs. Good to teach first, as it will benefit your continued training. Lure the dog with candy in your hand at first. Then you show with your hand without candy and reward the dog from the other hand. The next step is to show with your hand and then reward a few steps away from the obstacle. If you want a verbal command, for example, paws on, say it while showing your hand signal. Slide is a lateral movement where the front paws move on one object and the back paws move on the ground. Examples of obstacles can be walls, fences, windowsills, curbstones, and ropes. Remember to train the same amount in both directions so that your dog builds level muscles. You will notice that your dog has a stronger and a weaker side when you start training. When I train my dogs, I always start with the weaker side, and then I do the exercise just as much with the stronger side. The next challenge is to jump up on or step up on with one paw at a time. To step up and down from an obstacle with one paw at a time teaches the dog to keep track of all its 4 paws. Be a support in the harness if the dog has poor balance, is unsure, or if the surface is slippery. When challenging dogs to jump over different objects, you need to be aware of which surface the dog lands on. Hard or slippery surfaces should be avoided as it can injure the dog. Doing tricks on different obstacles is both fun and can be very difficult if the obstacle has a small or soft surface. A real challenge, in other words. You can ask your dog to sit, lie down, stand, spin around in both directions, sit beautiful, and bow. Provide support on slippery obstacles and start on easy objects.
Yay! Så hoppa på den då. Yay! Snurra! Jo, snurra! Vad duktig du var. Nu kan vi köra en fast. Hopp, hopp. Bra! Och så kan du snurra. Ja, så kan du snurra. Åh, vad duktig du var. Nu kan du hoppa ner. Åh, hoppa dit. Bra! Kille. Bra kompis! Bra kompis!
Challenge your dog to get through and under various objects. But don't forget to also think about safety so that your dog doesn't get hurt or get stuck. You are responsible for assessing which obstacles are appropriate. Examples of obstacles can be fallen trees, under fences, park benches, and indoors under chairs and beds. Slalom, or to walk around objects. You can easily do a slalom course by poking sticks into the ground or setting up cones. You can teach the dog to walk by itself, or you can choose to walk with the dog. Objects the dog can walk around can be trees, poles, or larger objects. Don't forget to train in both directions. Teach your dog to balance on different objects. Encourage your dog to climb up an obstacle, such as logs, fences, or small stones. The goal is for the dog to be able to find balance on the obstacle and stand on its own. Train on low obstacles and let the dog work by itself, or help the dog find balance with the help of your support against the body or in the harness. Once your dog has learned what balance means and provided that the dog thinks it's fun, you can start challenging the dog with more difficult balance exercises.
Bra! Vilken kille! Duktig du är! Oj så duktig du är! Oj så duktig du är! Ska du hoppa ner? Hej! Bra!
One of my dogs love to balance, while the other two prefers other exercises. Balancing is a real challenge for many dogs. Obstacles can have different widths and surfaces and can lay on the ground or be slightly raised. If you train on an obstacle above ground, think of the surface below if your dog should jump or fall, and be a support in the dog's harness on high obstacles. leg lifts are, as it sounds, teaching the dog to lift its legs high in stride. For example, you can lay a ladder on the ground, which you then rise up gradually for higher leg lifts if you have a larger dog. Bicycle racks are good obstacles for some dogs. You can also lay out sticks, narrow logs, depending on the dog's size. Remember that a dog must walk calmly through the obstacle. Good training for all types of dogs, both old and young, and especially dogs with long and weak backs, as it builds back muscles. Regardless of which obstacle you choose, be sure the dog can't get stuck or injured. Backing up against objects is easier said than done. Start by teaching the dog to go backwards. Then back onto low objects and increase the height gradually. Examples of obstacles are curbs, stairs, thresholds, sloping rocks, and trees. Since the dog puts 80% of its weight on the front, you should avoid too steep objects as there will be unnecessary wear on the wrists, elbows, shoulder, and back. Front and hind leg control means that the dog places the front paws or hind paws on an object and then moves the opposite part around the object. Don't forget to train the same amount of time in both directions. Examples of obstacles: indoors, on a sturdy stool, or outdoors, on a stone or stump. Teaching your dog to flip is both fun but can also be difficult. The dog should jump towards an object with its front paws and then turn and shoot away with its hind paws. I would not challenge old dogs or dogs with longer or weak backs to make a sharp flip, but instead let the actual turning be done in several steps. Examples of obstacles are sloping walls, trees, and stones. Cheer up your dog so it gets aroused with some speed. Give your reward away from the obstacle and practice on soft surfaces. From one thing to another means that the dog stands with its front paws on one object and has its hind paws on another. For example, from a stone toward a tree. Or jumping between things, something that requires balance, confidence and courage. Therefore, it can be good to build up the dog first, both physically and mentally, before you start jumping between objects. Dog parkour really helps the dog become aware of all its four paws. A fun challenge can be to lay pallets on the ground that the dog can walk calmly over. Dog parkour also increases the dog's self-confidence and courage. So if you don't want your dog to learn to jump over the fence at home, then perhaps you should avoid teaching the dog to jump over high obstacles or climb trees. Finally, be careful when training. In all dog sports there's a risk of injury. Always wear a harness. Warm up properly at least 10 minutes. Consider individual differences. Unwind the dog after training. Teach the dog which surfaces can be slippery. And think of the surface when it rains, in frost and snow. Regardless of which obstacle you choose to train on or with, choose carefully to eliminate the risk of injuries. Remember, You, and only you, are responsible for your dog's safety. Good luck with your training, and don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions or need help.